Guys, remember when we used to be able to just tell a phone and go, hey, this is a phone and this is a phone. And they look different, right? Remember those days? But phones have just stopped trying these days. They're just all rectangular boxes. So if you go to your nearest phone store and look up on the tray, this is all you see. Different shades of rectangle boxes, right? Just different shades. This shade, this shade, this shade, this shade. Oh, then the iPhones are all the same. You have to look behind it to see how many cameras you've got behind it, right? So there's no difference between this and the iPhone I'm recording with. I miss those days when we used to have phones like this, right? Phones are all the same these days. They just stopped trying, right? So remember those days, if you were an office person, if you like to type, use these and you can type. Yeah, you could type on these phones. Remember that? And then if you have this, okay, you just want to watch, right? So that functionality is missing, right? So what's happening now is that everyone just has the rectangular boxes, right? So my point is things have changed and it's going to change, but things have just stopped. Like all the phone manufacturers have just stopped trying, you know? And whose fault is that? I'd like to discuss this. Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a rant, okay? But we have to say what it is, right? It's all the same these days. Phones are no more than rectangular boxes. If you look at the last 2 or 3 iPhone unveils, right? Yeah, the unveil that used to happen in September. I remember the first one. I was one of those. I wouldn't lie. I was one of those in my 20s, right? Early 20s. Banking, just had some money then. I was one of those who queued up to get a phone, the iPhone. And then the second year, I remember I worked in Ireland. For those who know, I was one of those who actually drove to Belfast and queued up overnight to get the iPad. That's how crazy the revolution and the form factor used to be, right? So things used to change. Like people used to make an effort. And between then, you could order a phone, right? Which had a phone. You could order a flip phone. Remember the Nokia of those days, Motorola, Razor, BlackBerry, and all those? You could order that, and that changed as well. So you could have different functionality on the phone depending on what you want to get. But people just stopped caring. I'm going to look back at the first first company I blamed for this, paradoxically, they're dead by their own structure, was BlackBerry. Because BlackBerry came and I remember they monopolized everything. And it's not their fault, but things went well for them. In the sense that they were able to go in and they captured one form factor, which was emails. Everybody, remember then, like we all, if you had a BlackBerry email, I mean, I remember I tried to get as much promotion as possible just to get a BlackBerry. I was more interested in the BlackBerry and having my email on my BlackBerry than getting a promotion, so that when I got the promotion in banking, in Ireland, and I got my BlackBerry on my phone, I was the happiest man ever. I made sure I approved everything on my phone. No matter where I am, I'll actually leave the office so that I'll be able to work from my BlackBerry, which is very cool. And then, but the idea was that became the first shift, right? People look at iPhone, but I look at BlackBerry for that shift, right? BlackBerry made that shift in terms of consumers so that we all went into just one thing only. All the other phones just sort of fell to the side. People stopped trying. Because if you don't have a BlackBerry type looking phone where you go for your emails and you can see everything on there, you're wasting your time. Right after that, they went into social media. So social media, they were the first, right? They had BlackBerry BBM, it was called those days, where it was just a chat where you could only talk to other people in the BlackBerry chat, right? I don't go into technicalities, right? But the way it worked was simple, right? They closed the loop so that you had to get a BlackBerry to be able to chat with other BlackBerry users, which is the first, right? Again, people are looking at Apple these days and Android and the different WhatsApp services, but they started that. They had the whole BBM trend where if you guys remember, you had a BBM pin. If you go on and chat to a girl, you might not even get her phone number, or you guys don't have to exchange phone numbers, you get BBM pins. And if for some reason the person doesn't have a BBM pin, you're in trouble already. It'd be like the whole green bubble, blue bubble thing going on, right? These days with Android and iPhone. Those days you had it with the BBM pin. So you had to get a BBM pin. I remember I had a BlackBerry at work. Actually, it wasn't blocked, so you could get a BBM pin while having a BlackBerry at work, because there wasn't that distinction back then. And that was fun. I repeat, I'm just going through history here, right? I feel like an old man on a green chair, just going through this. But I'm getting somewhere with this, right? But what happened then is that came in and that just drew that shift of everybody trying to go towards that angle and capture that audience, right? And left people on the sidelines. If you didn't have a BBM pin, you're wasting your time. So everyone had to get a BBM. Obviously, Steve Jobs saw that, and he I think he jumped on that bandwagon, right? People claim as if he came on and he revolutionized the world, and just, if he was still alive, he's going to make changes. I'm one of those who don't believe that. I don't believe if Steve Jobs was around today, he's going to deliver anything other than a rectangular box, like other than this. Like this was I mean, he was already doing this, right? He had a few other products that were coming out, but it was clear that, we're plateaued, right? Because he had the iPhone, okay, then the iPhone came and it was better, it was smoother on the side, then it came, he had like, you remove the remember we had the what do you call the screen for your fingerprints, you remove that, and then what do you have? You had a box on top, you remove that. All you're left is with a complete box, right? Then you have as much screen real estate as possible. When everything is a screen, what's left? Nothing. There's nothing to revolutionize, and this no more revolution there, right? The point I'm trying to make there is the fact that Steve Jobs jumped on that in the sense that he was smart enough to see that, hey, this is what people want to see. People don't want to make phone calls. I mean, by the way, this phone can only make phone calls, right? It's a cool phone. It just makes phone calls, and that's all it does, and close it. But he found out like this people don't want to make phone calls anymore. They don't want to make texts. They don't want to text anymore. They'd rather just be on social media and have more screen times. And the small screen you get with these phones, the Nokia of those days, with even BlackBerry. So, excuse me. So what happened then is he went ahead and he created the iPhone, right? And the iPhone was very good, was very successful. But he had the screen real estate, which we've talked about, which was very, very good. And everyone jumped on that bandwagon. In my opinion, then they've just stopped trying. Because now every phone, all the Androids now look like an iPhone. I have an iPhone there. I can show you. It looks exactly the same. Look behind and see when last you saw an iPhone and you were able to tell the difference between an iPhone 12 or iPhone 13, iPhone 13 Pro Max. I mean, it's all like different sizes of the same rectangle, right? Just different size, different mold. Then the camera, which is a joke, right? The camera now comes with, it could have 3 cameras, it could have 4 cameras, you can have 4.5 cameras. You could have a special lens and more megapixels. And the same thing is just a rectangular box, right? I remember, again, I follow football, right? I remember when Jose Mourinho, he's a Portuguese manager, and he was the manager of Man U for one season. So he left Chelsea, I think went to Portugal, and then he came back to Chelsea to the UK, and then he was the manager of Man U. And then he just flew past everyone and was so successful. He became so successful that the league became boring because Man U was leading by about 10 to 20 points below the second place. And the second place battle actually became more interesting. So people started watching Arsenal and Liverpool and Chelsea fight for second place because Man U had gone up so much. Marino was angry. Marino was like, hey, I'm angry because no one's trying, because we're so good and everyone's sort of lazy now. That's what's happening with iPhones. So iPhone has become so good in optimizing this rectangle box that no one's trying anymore. Yeah, no one's trying. And I say that because it's easy to look at iPhone and go, yeah, it's iPhone's fault. They monopolize the market. They're not giving other people freedom to get in there. Right? I don't think so. I think it's just us being lazy. I'm using this phone, by the way, just out of pure annoyance, right? I bought this phone because I want to go back to just using a phone call. If I don't get a phone call, I don't need to come here. I want to reduce my screen time. Yeah, because it just seems to me the iPhone is optimized towards screen times, optimized towards Facebook, towards YouTube, towards, the whole lot, right? And then the question now becomes, you really need to be on those things. Wearables, sorry, I didn't introduce myself. So I'm the CEO of Orukka. Orukka is a smart payment ring that you can tap to pay. If I have these two, I don't need my phone throughout the day. By the way, this phone, unlike your iPhone, so the iPhone lasts one day if you're lucky. That one day you have your social media, you have all the emails, you have all the network coming in, you have your WhatsApp, you have everything in there. Oh, wait, I wait for it as well. Then you do a payment. So when I talk to people say, well, I can just pay with my phone. Yeah, so you pay with your phone, you do everything. By 4 or 5 o'clock, the battery's dead. So you either look for a way to charge it or you're stranded. But with these phones, the usual for other phones, outside the iPhone and Android, other simple phones, which there's a lot. I'm not selling any of these phones. But all these normal phones last for 3 to 4 days. Remember those days? It used to last for 1 week, actually. There are phones that still last 1 week. Maybe instead of getting the latest iPhone, we should go ahead because it's just a box, yeah? I have a latest iPhone, it's a box, and I don't even use it that much. I have it's in a box somewhere. I haven't opened it because it's just the same as every other phone I've had, apart from better camera, right? And if you don't take a camera shot, or if you're not into the social media, then what's the point? Are they paying you? No. Facebook, Instagram, those guys are not paying you, so there's no point going on it. So what do you do? Unless you're the product, which I'll talk about separately. So what do you do then? You should go ahead and just leave it. Just go without it. Get your phone, the phone calls, WhatsApp, if you need to, and get a ring for payments. Tap to pay wherever you are. So that's my quick rant over. I think we need to do better as a group. I think humans, about 7 billion of us, we're we follow the shit too much. We just decide to get the latest phone because we need to get the latest phone. And I'm not just humans, I mean banks as well. So I work in banking, right? And obviously I'm a banker, and I kid you not, banks, the first thing they do is run to an iPhone. The first thing they come and go, as soon as you have a product, the first you want to do is, let's create an iPhone, let's create an app. Why are you creating an app? Did your customer ask you for an app? Guys, think about it for a minute. When this video is over, go check how many apps you have on your phone. How many apps do you have on your phone? And when last did you open the last app that is not social media? WhatsApp, social media. LinkedIn is social media. TikTok, social media. Instagram is social media. I think there's one called Red Break or Red Brook or whatever it's called. That's social media. There's a lot of Reddit is social media. So everything is social media. Other than social media, when last did you open anything? You might open your banking app. We have our app as well. You can open your banking app to just check and see how much you have left once every 2 or 3 days, if at all. Hardly, because you just tap to pay wherever you are. So in truth, what's happening is people are just going towards apps that just doesn't work, right? We're talking to, I'm going to call them out because I don't have an NDA. We're talking to the Danish government on this one as well. So Danish governments, they have a ring they want to use, right? And, I was talking to them, and it's funny, by the way, I don't sell our ring solution to anybody, okay? You come to me if you want it, right? Luckily, we have the money to support ourselves. But they came to me, and the first thing they said to me was, we can just use an app. I said, wait a minute, you're the government, right? You're the Danish government. Denmark is one of the top, it's the top government as well, right? In terms of the developed country. And then you're going to an iPhone and Android to put your solution in there. You're putting your solution in a phone. Why are you putting your solution in a phone? You know what I mean? Like, a phone is a company, it's a private company. So are rings. Rings are private companies, right? Why are you putting your solution on a phone that is a private company that they can do anything they want to do with it? And then you turn around and you sue Apple for anti-competition. Apple have no competition. All they did is just put a phone out there. Androids have a phone out there. They have these small phones as well. They have their phones out there. But you put all your solution onto an iPhone, and then you complain that they are being anti-competitive, that they are being, monopolizing the market. They're not, like, you're the idiots. Like, I'm going to say, the banks, the governments are the idiots going to give them the solution. In fact, the same thing as well. I mean, there's a lot of this going around, right? If you look at it, the first thing they say to you is, I remember when COVID came around, right? COVID came around, the first thing they did was to have a digital wallet on your phone. I remember the first thing, most people didn't want to have a phone. They were like, and that's the truth, like, most of us don't want to have our phones around. But the government, the banks, they're still thinking about phones. Forgetting phones are private companies as well. Unless your government owns a phone. If your government has launched a phone, you're all right. Well, go ahead, do that, right? Get that phone because the government is paying. But as long as it's a private enterprise, which is an iPhone, Android, all those are private enterprises, you can do anything they want with that data. So that includes when your bank goes ahead and creates an app, you have to say, hey, do I really need an app? And again, I'm saying that in a bad way because I did that as well. So I worked in Switzerland, and I remember Swiss, the first thing we do is we go create an app as well. I don't want to mention the banks, but I mean, you can check my profile and see the banks. But all the banks, the first thing they do is create an app. Let me tell you, I remember working at UBS. UBS, there are 4 different apps. We have 4 apps, right? There's an app for your central your bank. There's an app for business app. There's an app for structured products, which we did. We did structured products. There's a specific app for that. There's an app called Twint. So you can go into a banking app, and there are 4 or 5 apps on your phone. Do you need all that? Just the thinking, right? Is what we need to do. So we need to review this thing. If you work in a bank, think about it and say, do I really need an app? Are my users crying for an app? No, and they're not. They look for other ways. Maybe pay with a ring. Give them QR codes. Give them websites where they can actually go into if they want to, right? But let's try and reduce our dependencies on phones, because phones have just stopped trying. These guys, they don't care. Like, look, this is revolution. I know this as well because iPhone, I'm one of those, I used to love iPhones. And I remember for the last 4 or 5 years, we've been begging iPhones. We've been begging them to go ahead and create a simple, just flip phone, a flip phone, fold phone, something. It won't cost them much. People say, oh my God, it could be cool. It's so expensive for them to do because people might not buy it. Sell, like, I can tell you, I think they make 100 and something million per day in profit. You think you're bothered about the price on this? No, they just don't care about you enough to want to evolve or create something new. Yeah, or maybe they just can't. Maybe Steve Ives has left, by the way, but before he left, all he did was create the iPod. The iPod is similar enough, didn't really change for several years as well. So maybe he just can't do it. I don't know. But that's something to look at, guys. So I'll stop there without rambling on enough. Just, guys, vote with your pockets, vote with your feet. You don't have to use the solutions that are out there. Pick a phone when you want to. Reuse your old phones. Buy wearables. Get our ring, Orukka.com, or you can get a bracelet from Whoop. Get a bracelet from Aura. Get Aura bracelet, and they've got rings as well. Just get wearables and use them, right? Stop relying on your phones. That's all I'm going to say. Until they start making an effort. And if there are reviewers out there, reviewers, let's be honest, right? Because reviewers are doing nothing. Like if someone's going to review my ring now, they give me critical feedback and go, "Hey, we don't like the ring in gold. Get it in silver," and I'll listen. But watch when they do the unboxing for what do you call it, for iPhones, they're always praising it. Oh my God, it's moved from 3 cameras to 4 cameras this year, and the megapixels are much sharper. This is a phone, guys. I'm gonna stop for now. Take care, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye bye.